Hello tonight. We're blessed to have one of my mentors on our program tonight for our TMBT Media Las Vegas podcast. I'm blessed to have Wilford Champ Godbolt from Springfield, Massachusetts. One of my mentors in life, one of my mentors in professional basketball. And I'm truly honored to have him aboard to talk about what he has going on in Georgia, in Lawrenceville, Georgia, to talk about his students. He's a basketball coach, played 17 years professional basketball overseas, and is now back in Georgia, giving back to his community and to his students. So it's an honor for us to have him today. Champ Godbolt, are you there with us, my brother?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Milton, man. It's an honor and a privilege and a pleasure for me as well, man, to be able to be on this platform with you, man.
Hey, my brother, it's something we've been talking about. We've been talking life. You have, as the young people say, you are my OG, one of my OGs, and I can honestly say that I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you on this phone if it wasn't for you. I would not have had the success as a player, but I would not have had the success as a father, as a man, without your guidance. And so it's truly an honor for people that know me. They know how I see life, the positive energy that I try to bring to every situation. And it's an honor and a privilege just to have one of my sources when I have questions or when I have things that I'm going through. I always give you a call, and it's been that way since 1996. So we'll jump right in it. We want to talk a little bit about your humble beginnings in Springfield, Massachusetts. I want you to talk a little bit about yourself. I know you're a very humble guy. I know you're not a very braggadocious person, but I would like for you to shed some light on your life, your upbringing, your career, and hopefully we will have some of our youth listening, that you can inspire our youth the way you inspired me. So I would like to start today talking about your basketball career in Springfield. Talk to us a little bit about your high school, your upbringing, and attending Holy Cross College.
Okay. First, man, your words and your compliments, man, they really, really humble me, man. And, I just want to give all praises to God, man, to, just to be able to be here to share this moment with you. Like you said, I was born in Springfield, Massachusetts, which is the birthplace of basketball and where the Basketball Hall of Fame is located. And in the third grade, Milton, I had a conversation. I was sitting in class and had a conversation with myself. The teacher had went on her coffee break, and she left us with an assignment. And so when I finished my assignment, I'm sitting there, and I asked myself this question, like, okay, Champ, what do you want to do when you get out of high school? Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, well, what about, going into the military? Mm-hmm. And automatically, I was like, that was a no, because I don't like nobody yelling at me.
Right.
And so then the next thing is, okay, well, then the only option after that was to go to college. And I knew right then, as a third grader, that my mother and father didn't have the money to send me to college. Mm-hmm. And so I said, okay, well, Champ, this is what you need to do. You need to buckle down, bust your behind in the classroom to get the best grades as possible, and to bust your behind on the basketball court to get your skills up in order to get a scholarship. And from that moment on, as a third grader, from that moment on, that was my mission.
Right.
I graduated from high school with a 3.6, with 3-year honor society member, because back then high school was only was 10th, 11th, and 12th grade.
Right.
And and then I received a full scholarship to first I went to the University of Maine first, mm-hmm. and then I transferred to Holy Cross.
Right.
And and that's what I was able to do. And then that was my goal
Right.
from from a youngster.
Mm-hmm.
That and I stayed the course, and I was able to accomplish that.
Right. Right. Talk to me a little bit, and you and I, I think I just recently learned this. I've been knowing you since 1997, but I just recently learned within the past year. So you and I were talking about, for those listeners that know what the Hall of Fame, the Basketball Hall of Fame is in Springfield, Massachusetts. You and I were talking recently, and you told me how that motivated you, how having the Hall of Fame in your city that you could see and you could touch and you could go into it. You recently told me about how that motivated you. I'd like to get you to touch on that a little bit, if you will, just to shed some light on your motivation. It sounds like you were self-motivated. I know your father played a huge role in your success. We talk about him often. But if you could just touch a little bit on how passing that building or knowing that building was in your city and how you strive to be the best person and student that you could be, but ultimately you wanted to be a professional basketball player.
Yeah, having that that facility there, and knowing the history of it, and knowing that basketball was invented in the city that I lived in,
right.
It was extremely motivating. You grow up watching NBA games, and they would, every once in a while talk about the Basketball Hall of Fame, mention different players and coaches who were getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, and you were like, wow, that's right here in my city.
Right.
It just constantly, was in the back of my mind. And, my father instilled in me as a young boy, he said, as far as, being the best that you could be, and his words were, and I'm going to keep it PG, his words were, I don't care if you're shoveling mess.
Right.
And that's the PG version.
Right.
He said, be the best mess shoveler that there is.
Right. Right. Right.
And and so that's what, I always, that was instilled in me, and I always wanted, I always strive for excellence. Mm-hmm. I always strive for perfection, and that doesn't mean that I consider myself perfect. No, I don't consider myself perfect, but is nothing wrong with striving for perfection, and that's even in the scriptures.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with striving for perfection, and that's what we should do.
Right.
Another motivating factor for me was my younger brother.
Mm.
He wanted to do everything that I did.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so that kept me on the straight and narrow. Not that I was an angel, but I didn't do no foolishness and didn't act up when he was in my presence.
Right.
And I always wanted to do things, because he followed me. He wanted to do everything I did. We played together. We hung out together. And everything. And so he was a motivating factor for me as well. And then my mother and my father, I didn't want to do anything to bring shame to them.
Right.
I didn't want to do anything to let them down, and I always wanted to make them proud of me.
Right.
And so that that's what kept me motivated and kept me constantly striving for perfection. And even to this day, I'm still that way now, and having the desire to always want to win.
Right.
I don't care if we playing checkers. Okay, I'm trying to beat you.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
if we playing marbles, we playing, cards, whatever. Not that I'm a sore loser,
Right.
but I hate losing.
Right. Right.
Nah, he's losing, and so I don't care if you know, if you're 4 or if you're 44. I'm trying to beat you.
Of course, of course. I want to take a break. We just have some new people joining in to our Facebook Live, and I want to go back to introduce you again and to make sure that everyone, for those that want to Google and find out more about you, our guest tonight is Wilford Champ Godbolt, Wilford, last name Godbolt, Godbolt, from Springfield, Massachusetts. One of my mentors for those of us that are joining. I know one of my brothers, Maurice Miller, just joined. Want to give a huge shout out to him, and want to make sure that everyone is following along. Continue, if you will, Champ. Tell us a little bit about, and it's big what you said, of course, that the art of not letting down our parents seems to be lost. Seems to be a lost art. That really, of course, that was my motivation as well, my mother. And like you said, back in our day, we had an obligation. Our parents were working 1, 2, or maybe 3 jobs to provide the bare minimum for us. And it was our job, it was our duty to go to school, be productive kids, do our schoolwork, and be productive people in society. And one thing that you said is not to let them down. We had so much respect for them. I don't think it was fear, but it was more respect for them. And I wish more of our youth thought about their parents before they do some of the things that they ultimately do, because clearly they're not thinking. And so even to this day, even though I'm sure you think about your father and your mother on a daily basis, the same way I do, and we still try to uphold those values and principles that were instilled in us from an early age, right? Let's talk about Holy Cross. Let's talk about your college career. You and I know that in the 80s, it was a blessing for an African-American man to receive a scholarship to play basketball and to receive his education. Talk to me a little bit about how proud your family must have been to know that something that you love, something that you grew to love, you turned that into a way to take care of your family. I would like for you just to elaborate a little more on the joy that you clearly felt by receiving that scholarship, but not only receiving the offer, taking the offer and fulfilling it and taking it to the next level, because as we both know, an African-American young man with an education is powerful. So I would like to get you just to elaborate on that process. How did you choose the school? Things of that nature, just to kind of fill our listeners in on your thought process at that time.
Yeah, just what you were saying earlier about not letting our parents down. Just to go back for a minute, my father, he was a boxer, mm-hmm. and when he first came to the hospital to see me, he told my mother, he said, "That boy looks like a champ." Mm. And so my mother said, "Okay, well, that's what we're going to call him then." Mm-hmm. So that became my nickname from birth. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I'm named after my father, Junior,
right, Wilford
Champ Junior. Mm-hmm. And, but everybody, even my teachers, even my professors, everybody called me Champ.
Right.
Very few people know, my real first name.
Right.
And so, that was kind of, special to me to have that nickname, to have him to have that story, that I was told, and to be able to, just grow up and and just not like you were saying, just try to always make them proud, and everything that and my father and my mother, my father, he was a great provider, and just to my mother, was there, for us, and they were, going back and forth to me and my brother's games all the time, and just, having that support. And it all starts at home, and a lot of what the youth are, like you were saying, kind of out of control, and a lot of them don't, they don't reverence their parents, like we did.
Right.
And my father was a strong figure in the house, and yeah, like you were saying, wasn't afraid of him, but had mad respect for him.
Right.
And whatever you were told to do, you did it.
Hey, man. Hey, if you will, as well, being that we talked about your father, elaborate, if you will. We're talking about your dad. I remember you sharing with me. Your dad grew up in the South, grew up in Mississippi, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, in Mississippi.
Grew up in Mississippi. Talk to me a little bit about, just to kind of put things into perspective, the type of gentleman that we're talking about. I'm currently from the South. I grew up in Richmond, Virginia, in 1970. So paint a picture of the man, the father figure that you had, and the seriousness in which he took his life. Because I think the correlation that I'm trying to make here is his life being very serious at a very young age. And I remember you telling me that he came to Springfield, Massachusetts, formed his family, but he had his principles already instilled in him. So clearly, someone who sees life with that seriousness, clearly, 9 times out of 10, is going to instill that in his kids. Touch a little bit on your father's upbringing and the difference. I remember you telling me several times that he wanted you and your brother to have a better life than he did in Mississippi. Just talk about the correlation a little bit, if you will.
Yeah. He grew up in Mississippi. He was born in 1928, and had 10 siblings.
Right.
He was, mother and father, they had 10 siblings, and they sharecropped.
Right.
And a lot of the youth, are not aware of what that is, but that's just a prettier name for slavery.
Correct.
Okay. And so they grew up, and we're not talking, centuries ago.
Right.
Okay. The 1928 was that was less than 100 years.
Right.
You see, and so he grew up, doing that. He had to drop out of school at an early age, in elementary school to help take care of his family.
Right.
Him being the second oldest. And so he had to get on the plantation and pick cotton.
Right.
You see, and that's not an easy job.
Oh, no.
Okay, that's you working. You out there in the hot sun. You working from as you used to say, from can't see morning to can't see night. Okay, and then come in, get something to eat. Clean yourself up, get a bath and everything, go to bed and get up the next day, before the sun came up, and do it all over again. Yeah. And so I grew up, seeing him, work 2 jobs.
Right.
Okay. He worked for Monsanto, and he was at where he retired after working there 37 years, but he was also a licensed electrician. He took it upon himself to get a trade.
Right.
And so he would work. I remember him working swing shifts. So he would work like one week for example, he would work 11 to 7,
Right.
for an example.
Right.
So he worked 11 to 7. He'd get off 7 o'clock in the morning, come home, change clothes, get something to eat, get in his work truck, and go out and do electrical work until 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening.
Right.
Come home, get something to eat, get in the bed, get up at 10 o'clock. I was the one to go upstairs and wake him up. I couldn't hardly wake him up. He was so tired.
Right. Right.
And get up, wake him up at 10 o'clock. Get up, man, get dressed and everything, and go to work for 11 o'clock, work all night till 7 o'clock in the morning, and do it all over again.
Right. Right.
So I tell a lot of the youth, who I work with, seeing that and being around that, because when I wasn't in school and on the weekends, in the summer and on the weekends, I was on that truck with him.
Right.
Working, doing electrical work and everything. And so seeing that and being around that and having that work ethic instilled in me, I can't be lazy if I wanted to.
Couldn't do it.
I can't. It's not in me to lay around. I have something to do every day.
Right.
And pretty much all day.
Right. Right.
Okay. Just before getting on this call with you, okay, I have been working all day since about 7 o'clock.
Right. Right.
Okay. 7 o'clock this morning. And, and that's in my blood.
Right.
Okay. That's in my nature, and it's a part of, the man and the men that I grew up with and that helped raise me.
Right.
And everything, and to the point where, it's for me, it's all about being productive.
Right.
All about being productive, and that's what I was taught, and that's what I saw growing up. Is that's what men do.
Right.
They're productive. And so I saw that growing up, and he took care of his family, and then going back to the question about going to college, so I get out of high school, I my senior year,
mm-hmm.
and so now, okay, boom, it's time to move forward to the next phase
right.
of my plan
right.
that I had in the 3rd grade, and that's to go to college.
Right.
And so played college ball, was all city, all district, all state, MVP, and all the various accolades, and so now, okay, I'm getting recruited, received letters from over 300 colleges and universities,
right.
and so now this is getting close to the end of the recruiting season, and signing and everything, and so time was running out,
right.
And so being raised in Massachusetts, I hated the cold weather. Never liked it.
I remember that.
Okay, yeah, man, never liked it because the winters in Massachusetts were brutal, and so I never liked it. So I wanted to go someplace where it was warm.
Right.
And so I was looking at the University of Texas El Paso,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and they were recruiting me and everything, but they had me kind of in limbo and on hold because they didn't, they wanted to wait to see if one of their guards was going to be eligible or not.
Right.
And so I'm waiting, to hear from them.
To get more shipments out the door.
And then in the meantime, the University of Maine, they were coming around, come to my games, constantly calling and everything, and they flew me up to the University of Maine for a visit, and that was the first time as an 18-year-old. That's the first time that I flew, in an airplane.
Right, right.
And so I flew up to the University of Maine for the weekend. Went up there and met the coaches and talked more with them. We met some of the players. Even had a chance to work out with the players. We played play some pickup games and everything, and stuff. And so the coaches got a chance to see what I could do against college competition and everything. And so came back home and, still waiting to hear from the University of Texas El Paso, and I got tired of waiting. Mm-hmm. So I ended up signing with the University of Maine, right. And that was a great day. My parents, they came, the coaches, they came to my house, the newspapers, came and they, took pictures and filmed it and did a story in the newspaper on me signing, and that was a big thing to my parents, and it was a culmination at that time of, all their support and their sacrifices that they made for me, and for my brother and sister as well, but, at that time, me being a high school senior, getting ready to go to college on a full basketball scholarship.
Right.
Okay, that was huge. That was huge, and that was something that, a whole lot of us didn't do at that time. It wasn't too many people that I knew personally in my neighborhood, in my town, that had done that.
Right.
I probably could count them at that time on that I knew personally on one hand and still have fingers left.
Right. Right.
You see,
right,
and so that was that was huge. And now that I think back on it, man, my parents, they were so proud.
Of course,
they were very proud, and that also motivated and inspired my brother to want to go to college as well.
No doubt.
And so so that was a good thing. That was a good day.
Good day, man. You talk a lot about, of course, I know the story, but for our listeners, I'm just trying to fill them in and trying to get them to understand who Wilford Godbolt Jr. is. Of course, a lot of my friends that are watching, they know who you are. They hear me talk about you all the time. And what I would like to do now is talk about your 17-year pro basketball career. You played in Venezuela, Colombia, Spain. You and I played together in Chile in 1996. I would like for you to just go back and talk about, of course, for myself, having you again on this program. You were one of the first people to show me what hard work was really about. I remember after practice, you would stay. Even when I wanted to go home after practice, I'm dog tired. But once I saw you stay and you were working on your craft, it made me want to stay as well. And so I'm so glad that you instilled those things. Even after I finished playing with you, I tried to be that person every country that I went to, just trying to do extra. I'm not only trying to show extra, but do extra for myself to be extra ready. And I think you will agree that whenever a team is paying you money, and whenever they see you doing something extra and working on your craft, it's kind of like a regular 9-to-5 job. If you stay extra and do extra work trying to get ready for tomorrow or get prepared for something that's coming up, it's received with open arms from your employer or from your president of your team or from your coach. Talk to me a little bit, I'm sure, that work ethic that we're talking about that was a gift from your father. Talk to us a little bit about how that molded you. And once you started making money at the game, how it was easy for you because you already had your work ethic, you already had your fundamentals, you already had the base of life, you already had your principles. And of course, your dad left those with you, your mom, hardworking family. But some people would not carry that over into pro basketball, or wouldn't take that work ethic with them, or would forget about it. Hey, man, I'm making money at the game. A lot of people that you and I know that we've played against, once they start making money at something, whether it be basketball, a lawyer, doctor, whatever, sometimes we as human beings have a penchant for forgetting where we come from, our values, our core values. If you will, take us through your 17-year career and what made you successful. Because clearly, like you and I know, and we tell our players today, some guys just want to go down for the week. Some guys just want to go on tour, take pictures, show my friends that I was down there, show the females that I was down there. And there's a huge difference between wanting to go and play pro basketball and wanting to stay for 17 years. So if you will, enlighten us on what it took for you to maintain your focus for that long period of time.
Yeah, it started with the work ethic that my father instilled in me when I was young. And so, after college, I was drafted by the Boston Celtics, and then, after my stint with the Celtics, wanted to go overseas. And so my first contract was in Venezuela. And so, that was also my first time, going out of the country. And so I remember like it was yesterday, I'm there, and, I was in high school and in college, right. I was a two guard. Right. And so they had me playing the point. And so I'm averaging, 20 and 10. And so, we played about, maybe 9 games, but we were only 5 and 4. Right. And so for me, a point guard, you averaging 20 and 10, that's big.
Huge.
Yeah, and so the owner, so the coach came to me and he said, Champ, he said, the owner is thinking about, bringing in somebody else for you. And I'm like, huh? What are you talking about? And he said, you're not scoring enough. I'm like, I'm not scoring enough, and that at that time, that was an overseas mentality.
Right, of course.
You see, and so, I'm like, huh? And it's like a catch-22, you got to score a lot, and the team has to win.
And they have to win.
And so I told the coach, I said, okay. I said, well, I'm playing the point. I said, well, take me off the point. Take me off the point and let me play the two. Right. Let me play the two-guard position. Right. Okay, so at that time in Venezuela, and you know this, Milton, playing over there, you played 3 games back to back.
Right. Right.
Okay, so to cut down on the traveling. Right. So it'd be 3 games on the road or 3 games at home. Right. So we had 3 games at home. So you would play a Friday night, a Saturday night, and a Sunday around noontime. Right.
It's brutal.
Yeah. And in the gym that have no AC.
No AC.
And it was like 100 degrees. Gyms were packed like 100 degrees in there, and you sweating and everything. And so the first game, after he told me that, he played me at the 2. So the first game, I dropped 47. The second game, I dropped 45. The third game, I dropped 39. Right. And we won all 3 games. He was happy. I don't know if he come, man, out the stands, man. The people, they picking me up, put me on their shoulder and whatnot. I'm like, yo, dude, get away from me, man. You talk about sending me home.
Right. Same guy.
Right. Yeah. Now, and so after that, the coach called me aside and he told me, he said, Champ, I didn't tell you, but it was a guy on his way coming to get you. Coming for you. He said, but he missed his flight. And when the game was over, they told him, man, you might as well stay there now.
It was God. God, as you and I know, God.
Yeah, that's nothing but God, man. And so, but the question you ask, is, how's I able to do that?
Right.
And along with the work ethic, but like you say, putting in the extra work. I mean, I would get up in the morning and, 2 hours before practice, I would go and I'd hit the weights.
Right.
Okay, I go hit the weights, and then I go practice.
Right.
Then after practice, I'd work on my shot. I work, on foul shot. I wouldn't leave the gym until I made 10 foul shots in a row.
Right.
Okay, in a row. Sometimes that would be on the first try, sometimes the second, third, fourth. Right. But I wouldn't leave.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then go back to my place where sometimes you stay in a hotel, sometimes you have an apartment.
Right.
And especially after every game, okay, I wasn't hitting the clubs.
Right.
I wasn't chasing skirts.
Right. Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I'd go, I'd eat right, okay, I'd hydrate, I'd get in the bed.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd get my rest. And so the next day, all right, I was able to, to pretty much play at the same level that I did the night before.
Right.
You see, and so but it all started with a mindset. Just like everything else in life, how you think is going to determine how you act.
Of course.
And what you do. And so, that's what it all, and to the younger players out here, you're going from playing a game that you played all your life for free.
Free. Correct.
For free. And now somebody going to pay you. And so it wasn't just, a pickup game anymore. It wasn't just a high school game or a college game. Okay. Now you're a professional.
Right.
Okay. And so you have to approach it as that.
Right.
Okay. So my whole day revolved around, my profession.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It revolved around that. All right. And so because I want to keep my job, okay, not only keep my job, I want to be productive.
Right. Right.
And so, and everything. And that's what it took. And that's what it takes, But, it's really bigger than that. That needs to be our mindset and our approach to everything that we do.
Right.
Okay. Everything that we do, like I was saying earlier, my father was like, listen, do things in a way that nobody has to come behind you and do it over.
Right. Right.
You see, do it in a way to where, when you finish with it, whatever it is, can't nobody come and correct it and or do, it's done the best that it can be done.
Right.
And so that's how I approach everything, and I'm still that way today about everything that I do. And for the young players out here, that's what it takes, and those owners and the coaches, they want to see that.
Right.
And then like you say, that was motivating to you, being a little younger than me. That was also motivating to the other players.
Right.
On the team, to see us out there, putting in the extra work.
Right. Right.
And so it's no wonder, that we able to put up numbers like that.
Right. Right.
It's no wonder, because for example, if you work on your shot, then for the most part, if you open, you expect that shot to go in.
Right. Right.
So I'm saying, because you didn't put in time.
Right.
So it's not like it's a fluke or it's a wonder or wow, how are we able to do that? No, you're able to do that because of the work you put in.
Right. Oh man. It's funny because people that know me know that for people that don't know my story, I played with you in 1996 in Concepcion, Chile, right? And the talks that you and I would have, we would stay up. We shared an apartment together. We had the team gave us a 2-bedroom apartment, and I remember, like it was yesterday, you and I would stay up late talking about what else we wanted to do in pro basketball. And I remember you had already played in Venezuela. And at the time, I didn't make it to Venezuela until 97, 98, I think. You would tell me, you says, man, you can go wherever you have the talent to go and play wherever you want to go. You just have to put in the work, as the young people say. And you would tell me about Venezuela and how beautiful the country was, how beautiful the people were. And it's something that I didn't understand, right? It's something, and I tell you this all the time, that I didn't understand what you were saying, because pro basketball and living in a foreign country is one of those things where it's kind of like college. I will equate it to college. Let's say you have a friend that's in college, and let's say he's older than you, and he's a year older than you, and he goes to college first, and he may call you every day and say, hey, Champ, college is incredible, man. You're going to love it when you get here. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. But until you get there, until you set your feet in that experience or set your feet on that foreign soil and you have to live it yourself, everyone's experience is going to be different. But you kind of set the stage, and my expectations were high because of you instilling in me what else there was to do in professional basketball in South America. And so I'm so grateful. I say this all the time. I'm so grateful to have had you in my life to guide me. I am also grateful to God for giving me the wherewithal, right, and the intelligence to listen to what you were telling me, because everything you told me in 1996 came true. You told me about Argentina. You told me about Chile. You kind of explained the South American lay of the land in professional basketball, if you will. Everything you told me came true. I remember us playing together in, I think it was 1999. We were in Panteras together, and it was almost like a dream come true, because everything you told me, it came true. So it's kind of like you spoke it into existence for me, and if that makes any sense what I'm saying. And so for us to be together again in 1999 in Caracas, Venezuela, the team had put us up in another hotel or apartment I think we were staying in, and it was just it made it easier, right? Because you're the type of person that you instilled confidence in me. Of course, I was younger than you, but I was afraid of the unknown. I wasn't afraid of basketball. I knew I was good at that. But what I was afraid of was the unknown, and going to the next country and playing in that country and trying to be productive. Like you said, you just brought it up a little while ago. In Venezuela, Chile not so much, but in Venezuela, if you had 3 bad games, hey man, if you had 1 bad game, you could go home. 3 bad games, you were definitely going home. And so I remember you telling me, you says, man, you have to prove yourself every week, because what you did last week won't keep your job for this week. So it's a week to week test, right? There are no guaranteed contracts in Venezuela. Even though your contract may say you're guaranteed, if that team doesn't want to pay you, they won't pay you. Very simple. You can stay down there and take them to court. Court will take 4 years to get some money, and you will never get the money that you're owed. So you instilled that in me at a young age, that if you don't impress this week, you could be gone by next week. And that stuck with me. Even when I went to countries like Argentina, when I went back to Chile, or I went to Uruguay, that mindset that you instilled in me, it stuck with me. And so even though I had signed a guaranteed contract, in the back of my mind, I had to perform every week. And I would like to say personally on air, thank you for because that's not normal, right? When you sign your contract and it says, hey, man, your contract is guaranteed for the entire year. I remember you saying, man, that's hogwash. That's not true. That's a lie. Go out there and don't play well this week and see how long you'll be here, man. So small things like that really helped and prepared me for the mental aspect of the war. Mental aspect, because as we both know, basketball is war. You have to prepare for it mentally and physically. If you don't get killed as in real war, but your character is killed off, and they bring in another player. Was that the same case? I mean, in Colombia, I always hear you speak so highly of Colombia, Spain. Was that your mindset? Did you adapt that? Did you start your pro career with that mindset, or was that something that you picked up over years and perfected over years?
It was something that I picked up over years. Mm-hmm. But before I get to that, I just want to say that it was one of the best times, Milton. Okay, and I thank God for Him putting us together. I mean that we played together in Chile, man. And you remember those times, man. It was just beautiful, man.
Beautiful time.
And yeah, it was. And I thank you for the person that you are.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you, man.
Yeah, man. And it was just, I mean, from the beginning, we hit it off, and we've been brothers ever since.
Definitely, definitely, man.
And yeah, man, it's just, and I just want to, to thank you for that. But yeah, it was something that, it was a mindset from the beginning, and just to perfect it, and it all goes back to having that work ethic and just constantly always trying to improve,
right,
and never being satisfied,
right,
never being happy. You can be content,
right,
okay, but never really satisfied, right, never really happy about it, because unless you made every shot that game, okay, and you didn't have any turnovers,
right,
or nothing like that, then okay, that's something to talk about, but other than that, no, there's always room for improvement.
Right.
And yeah, you're right, man. That game that I spoke of in the beginning, when they were getting ready to send me home, and I dropped to 47 to 45 and then 39.
Right.
Okay, that other American who was sticking me, mm-hmm, on the other team. Okay, we played Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
right,
Monday morning. Man, that team sent him home.
Right.
Okay, because we won all three of those games.
Right.
Okay. And he didn't, he didn't produce in their eyes. In their eyes, he couldn't stop me. And so they sent him home.
Right.
They sent him home, and that's what it, and that's what it was like. And so you constantly, you got to stay on your P's and Q's.
Right. Right.
You got to stay on your P's and Q's, man. And so, yeah, it was just, that's just the mindset, and, and I'm very humbled by the fact, that you said, that you listened to, to the advice, that I was giving you, and that helped you.
Oh, man.
Helped you to have the career that you had, because back then, okay, at that time, the game has changed now.
Right.
But at that time, somebody your size, 6'8", okay, with the athleticism and being able to play all five positions, okay, man, that, you're a heck of a player, Milton. You're a heck of a player, man.
I appreciate it. But you and I know that you have to, for those players, I'm hoping that we have some of our TMBT pros listening. You and I know now, but you knew then that you had to carry yourself. I think, and I tell these guys all the time, they have a stereotype. They stereotype us African American players because, unfortunately, we come down there and there are some who don't do their job and do too much partying and chase too many women and drink too much and do drugs and those things. But that was something that I learned. Of course, I wasn't drinking or smoking. My thing was just being a young kid and learning on the fly. But you have so much, you have money in your pocket. You have females who want to get to know you. And so to be able to have the intestinal fortitude to turn those things down, right? As we now know, and we have a saying in the urban areas that everything. Some people say that if it's free, it's for me. But when you play pro basketball, you can't take everything that's given to you. You can't do it because that's a recipe for disaster, right? A recipe for disaster. And it's the way you carry yourself. I would be lying if I said that African American basketball players are expected to be somewhat of an animal, right? You come down and everything's free, you gobble up everything and you leave. And so I'm sure that it was a breath of fresh air for our presidents and our coach to see you and I down there taking it serious and not going out and not drinking and not drugging and just, hey, staying after practice. The little things, you and I know, the little things are the biggest, especially when you are in a foreign country. The only interaction, especially during our day in the 90s, some of these people and teams that we have been on had never seen black people, only in movies. And so when you get there, only thing that they have to judge us by, let's say some people don't get a chance to see African American men, only in movies on TV. And so the first impression that you make with these people is going to be a lasting impression. And it's going to, unfortunately, it's going to either haunt you or it's going to get you your next job. And that it is what it is. I wish I could say that it wasn't, but they already have a preconceived notion of how Champ Godbolt is going to be before he gets off the plane. And it's up to us to prove that stereotype wrong. It is what it is. It's been that way before we got down there. It's that way now. And it's why you and I try to instill in our young men you have to carry yourself a certain way. Talk to me a little bit. We'll move on into your pro coaching career. Finished playing 17 years. And clearly as a player, the guard, the point guard or the two guard is always, I don't care what team you play on, the guard is the smartest player on the floor. Has to be, because he's an extension of the coach. What propelled you to want to go back to some of these countries that you played in to now be a head coach and to teach the game, to pass on your knowledge? Talk to us a little bit about your pro coaching career, please.
Yes, well, what you just said was the key. It all led to coaching. Okay, with being different, them seeing us, as different, seeing us as not, like that movie that came out, Menace to Society.
Right.
You see, so they looked at us differently. Right. And because the way we carried ourselves, the way we acted on the court, the way we acted off the court, because you are being watched constantly, from, because everybody knows that you're not from there. you see, they know that you're American, and so you got people watching you that you don't even know are watching you.
Right.
So after I finished playing, I was at my computer, and I received a call one day out of the clear blue from a coach that I played against, his team in Venezuela, and he offered me the first assistant head coaching job.
Right.
And this, Milton, is not too many players get picked to go back and coach.
Oh man, you can count them on one hand, and like you said, still have fingers left.
Right, and so I was extremely honored and extremely humbled by the fact of getting that phone call and receiving that offer.
Right.
And he had told me that he wanted me, to be his first assistant coach because he couldn't trust nobody else.
Right.
And being it was all because of, like you said, how we carried ourselves.
Right.
And so for the younger players, that's what it's all about.
Right.
Because you don't know where this game will take you after you're playing,
right.
after your playing days are over.
Right.
Okay, you don't know what kind of opportunities will be presented to you, okay, because of the person that you were on the court, but more importantly, the person that, you are off of the court.
Right. But that's not like I said, that comes to me, and I have to be honest, I played forward, the point guard, guards are an extension of the coach. So they are our coach on the floor. But I have to be honest, coaching, of course, like I coach our youth here in Richmond, Virginia, that's easy because you're dealing with 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old kids. You're dealing with, on the pro coaching level, you're dealing with grown men who are making money, have egos, want to win. How did you make that adjustment going from being a legendary player to a legendary coach and bringing your philosophies over? Talk to us a little bit about that process, because you and I, well, most of us know that that's not an easy jump to make. It may be easy to jump to middle school basketball, but to jump directly to pro basketball in a country, of course, it was in a country that you and I both love. You had lived there for many years before, so I'm sure the decision from a mental aspect was an easy decision, but to take on the responsibility of leading men, and like I said, that was pretty much your job as the point guard of our teams. You were the leader of men. So talk about that correlation and the stepping or taking one hat off and putting on another hat. Make that correlation for us to help our listeners understand. Even though it's not easy, it's doable.
Yes, it's extremely doable. But once again, it starts with your approach to the game.
Right.
You see, and so being a student of the game and having that work ethic, being trying to be the best that you could be on the court as well as the best that you could be off of the court.
Right.
So going to Venezuela, a place where I had played for 17 years, so going back there as a coach now, all those guys on there, they knew of me.
Right.
On the teams and everything, and they knew of my reputation. A lot of those dudes were, young boys, when I was playing.
Right.
So they had, they grew up watching me play. And so, so automatically had their respect,
right.
Because of what I had accomplished over there. And then along with that, bringing my knowledge of the game, you know, with me. So it wasn't just about, okay, putting the ball in the basket. You know, it's about, you know, knowing the game. You know, I've always been a scorer, but that's an art.
Right.
You know, you got to know how to score. There's different ways to score.
Right.
So, you know, being able to, you know, have done that, and then being able to teach that, because everybody can't coach.
Everybody can't do it, my brother. It's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. But I will say that the way that you conducted yourself as a player, and the way, people respect talent, right? And so if a guy, let's say you had not been the legendary player that you were, let's say you were a mediocre player and you were only getting 5 points a game or what have you, it's easier or harder to gain the respect of player, or I should say, sorry, it's easier to gain the respect of your peers when you are good at something. And clearly you dominated your sport, so I'm assuming that was one of the reasons why you were so well respected as a coach, because you were well respected as a player for your person, your being, your work ethic, and the way you conducted yourselves. I'm sure that made it easier for those guys to say, hey, all we have to do is listen. This guy's proven. This guy's tried and true. All we have to do is listen and learn. If that makes any sense what I'm saying.
Right.
I want you to kind of fast forward a little bit and going from coaching in Venezuela. I know that the next thing that we're going to talk about is very dear to your heart, coaching high school basketball in Lawrenceville, Georgia. I know you have goddaughters and family and people down there that really helped you get into the swing of coaching high school basketball, but that's not easy. Once again, making that transition from a professional basketball player to a professional coach, and now to come back to a part of the U.S. where you do have family, and to dedicate yourself. The word that I would like to use is dedicate, because I feel like I've been along with you for your journey, and I've been talking to you through the years and knowing how much you've dedicated to these kids and trying to make sure that they develop and become productive people in society. I would like for you to elaborate a little bit on making the transition from pro coach to high school coach now, and having some family that motivates you. I think it's a bigger motivation when you have someone from your own bloodline or someone from your family that you want to see succeed. I think that is motivation enough. But not only did you take on her project, you took on other kids, other projects, and not only did you take them on, you thrived. Elaborate a little bit on that process. I'm coming back to the U.S., like we said, and kind of dedicating yourself to our youth.
Yeah, it was hard, but it was hard in the sense that, it wasn't hard. I mean, the game is still the game.
Right.
Okay. But it was hard in the sense that, the youth, a lot of the youth nowadays, they don't take the game serious.
Right.
Like I do. Okay. Like we do.
Right. Right.
Okay. And so that was the hard part to me, was like, nobody wanted to stay after practice. Nobody wanted, very few called for, for extra work, to put extra work in. And so, everybody, for the most part, a lot of the youth, they just want to just show up and be good.
Right, right.
You see, and it doesn't work that way. So that was the hard part for me, and the frustrating part, to understand that, because at first I didn't understand it.
Right.
I didn't understand it because I'm not like that. I didn't grow up that way.
Right.
And so, so I'm looking, I'm like, what is it? And so I had some people, explained it to me. He told me, he said, "Hey, man, you dealing with, the youth are not that way now.
Right.
They want instant gratification. See, we didn't have, an Xbox growing up.
Right.
Okay, we didn't have a computer. We didn't have an iPhone.
Right.
Okay, there was no internet.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So when you got home from school, you go outside and play ball.
Right.
Correct. It was no other distractions. It was no, okay, well, I'm gonna play Xbox. Okay, well, I'm gonna get on my phone and do whatever.
Right.
No, man, we didn't have that.
No,
and then
thank goodness, Champ. I had to cut you off, but thank goodness we didn't have that. Thank goodness.
Right.
It's a blessing.
Right.
It's a blessing, man.
Yep, exactly. Exactly, 100% right. So, but other than that, man, it's been very rewarding, and my goddaughter, she was the springboard. She was the catalyst for me to coaching down here, because she had said that when she was 5, she had wanted to play, because her brother played. Her brother was older than her, and, he was playing. So, she had wanted to play. And so I told her, I said, well, look, I'm not going to have you out there, okay, running around, okay, and not knowing what to do.
Right.
So if you're serious about playing, I'll work with you, I'll train you, so you'll be out there, and you'll look like you know what you're doing.
Right.
And so, and her being like, is my goddaughter / daughter / goddaughter / daughter, and she considers me, like her father,
right.
Father figure to her and everything. And so we have a very, very loving and very, very special and beautiful relationship. And she listens to me.
Right.
She listens to me and everything. And so that made it easy, from that perspective. And it was just rewarding to see her grow and to see her develop from being 5 years old, not knowing nothing about the game, couldn't dribble, couldn't shoot, being scared of the ball, didn't know how to play defense, nothing.
Right.
Okay, to now she was 5, then now she's 15 and she's a high school sophomore. The leading, as a ninth grader, was the leading scorer on the team, around 15 points a game, made the second team all region, and to see her constantly, develop and get better and better. She wants to go to college. And so that was the motivation. I said, okay, well, look, if this can be a means of getting your education paid for,
right.
Right. And so, so that was and still is the goal, and, that's what she wants to do. She's a very good student, and I try to motivate her and push her on the court as well as in the classroom. And, so it's just a beautiful thing to see her develop and every day get closer and closer to, bringing her goal into fruition.
Right. You and I know, though, Champ, you and I know that it's not normal. It's a blessing for a group of high school kids to have a coach who has played pro basketball, been to college, educated, to have someone who's been where you're trying to go. That's a blessing, because, of course, anyone who gives time to youth is a blessing to the youth. But as we all know, to have someone who has actually been on the front lines of where you're trying to go, I don't care if you're female or male, the dream is to play pro basketball. So to be able to be taught by someone who has been there, and not only been there for a week, had a 17-year pro career, that's not normal. To me, that's a blessing from God, right? To put you in, first and foremost, with your goddaughter, but to help kids learn something. To me, it's kind of, I equate it to being a pro basketball player. I equate it to being a lawyer, doctor, carpenter, master carpenter, and because you're at the top of your profession. And to have that knowledge, to teach that knowledge, and to pass on that knowledge to our youth, it's just like giving them a trade. So let's say you were a master carpenter and you taught your goddaughter how to become a master carpenter. That gives her a chance to take care of herself. She's self-sufficient now, right? Because you've given her a trade where she can now go out and make money at the trade that she's been taught. Same thing with basketball. I like to equate it and kind of make the correlation between passing on wisdom is passing on wisdom. I don't care if you are a coach, teacher, guidance counselor, principal, police officer, sheriff, preacher. It doesn't matter. Sharing wisdom is sharing wisdom. And that brings me to my next topic. What you are doing now during this pandemic. I would love for you to share with our listeners. I see some of our listeners are joining. Once again, we have Wilford Champ Godbolt, one of my mentors, live tonight with us on our TNBT Media podcast, Race Cards. And I want you to just talk about your passion project. And you and I know that when we get to be our age, we only do things that we're passionate about, right? We don't, if we teach basketball, it's because we're passionate about it and we love our students. If we start a company, it's normally based on something that we are passionate about. And so I would like for you to talk about your latest passion project, your Village Talk app. I would love for you to share with our listeners everything that you share with me and kind of give them a brief overview of how you started it, what it's for, and how it will help change our society.
Yeah, a very, very good friend of mine who's like a brother to me, had this concept, and so I've been working with him on it, together and everything. We've been putting our minds together and for a couple of years now, and we were finally able to get it launched, and it's called Village Talk. And the concept comes from it takes a village. And so the website is villagetalk.com. Okay, and it's also in the App Store. It's Village Talk, all one word. Okay, you can do a search in the App Store for Village Talk, all one word, and be able to pull it up and, download it and sign up right there and share it. And what it is, family, is, with the concept of it takes a village, okay, every problem that we as people have gone through and are going through, because everybody is going through something right now. Okay, so every problem, okay, each village represents a different problem. Okay, and so, for example, one village is depression, another village is anxiety, another village is bullying. Okay, another village is PTSD. Another village is COVID. Okay, and so it's every problem. You got, child abuse. You got rape. Everything. Financial problems. Problems in relationships. Every village represents a particular problem, and so what Village Talk is and how it works is that it's an anonymous, loving platform. Okay, so when you sign up, okay, family, and while I'm talking, everybody take your phone out and go to the App Store and pull up Village Talk, all one word, okay, and download the app and sign up, and then go to the website, villagetalk.com, and, you can sign up there and learn more about it. But this is a loving, anonymous, okay, giving and caring platform. So how it works is that you can once you sign up, okay, and you're helping people, and everybody knows that, especially nowadays, more than ever before, okay, with the COVID, you got a global pandemic, you got the police brutality and the killing of black men, okay, black people and black men in particular. Okay, you got the racism that's going on in this country. Okay, so and that's it's having major effects on people along with the COVID.
Right.
And so this is a way for people to help one another, okay, and to get help themselves and to reach out. And so if somebody, you can sign up. When you sign up, you can help, okay, in two ways, okay, and it's free. It's free and is no obligation, okay. But for example, when you sign up, you can sign up to give love, or you can sign up to receive love. So when you sign up and you put, okay, I want to give love, and then you pick, how many villages that you have the knowledge, the expertise, okay, the professional wherewithal, okay, you could be a doctor, or a clinician, okay, a psychologist, okay, and so when you sign up, you say, okay, well, I have this expertise, I have this knowledge, I have this experience, and so I want to be available to offer this, okay, to these different villages for whoever wants, to talk about, okay, what problem that they're dealing with. Or another person can sign up and they want to receive love.
Right.
So it could be a high school student and they're being bullied.
Right.
Okay, so they can sign up and they want to receive love from the different villagers of the bullying village.
Right.
Okay, and so somebody else might, just getting out of the service, and they might be suffering from PTSD.
Right.
And so they want to receive love. So that might be depression, anxiety, suicide, so they want to receive love. So you would say how many people, 10, 20 or whatever, that you want to hear from concerning the problem and concerning what you're going through. Mm-hmm. And then randomly, okay, you will hear from those different people, and then you can engage in a conversation with them anonymously.
Right.
Okay, because when you sign up, you have a username, and you don't use your real name. Mm-hmm. Okay, so for example, your username, a person's username might be, of the big man.
Right.
Or, or fly girl.
Right. Right.
Okay, and so therefore there's no judging, and none of that. So, it kind of puts people at ease, more at ease, to be able to talk about their problem and to get help for it, because, listen, you can save a person's life.
Right.
This right here, you can be a catalyst to save a person's life, or you can be a catalyst to make a person's day.
Mm.
You see? And so, you know, this is something that is very, very much needed today. Okay, it's extremely helpful and a way to give back and to be there for somebody else.
Right. Right.
You know, as well as getting, you know, maybe getting help, you know, that you might need.
Right. Right.
You see, so yeah, see, Milton. So, and to all the listeners, you know, family, we're trying to get this out, okay, to everybody that we have, everybody that we know. Okay, so we would appreciate it very much, you know, if you sign up, okay, and then spread the word.
Right.
And with the app, I don't know how many of you know, okay, Google and Apple, okay, that's not an easy task to get, okay, your app approved. Okay,
right.
It's not easy, and it's, you know, a very, very strenuous. They're very strict and they're very thorough, and it takes weeks, sometimes months,
right.
to get your app approved.
Right.
And by the grace of God, and to show you how positive this is, the app got approved in like 2 days.
Wow, that's a blessing.
Yeah,
that's a blessing.
Yeah, man.
That's a blessing. That's God. You know, because like
right.
you said, these things take time.
Right. Right. It takes time, man. And so, you know, so another thing that we want to do, you know, aside from helping everybody, you know, and being there for people, is we want to show Apple and Google, okay, that we're serious.
Right.
Okay, that they didn't just approve this app, okay, for nothing. Mm-hmm. You know, so the more people that signs up, you know, it shows them.
Right.
It shows that, okay, hey, you know, well, I'm glad we approved this.
Right.
For those brothers,
right.
Because, you know, the people are really signing up, and, you know, and the word is getting out, and it's helping a lot of people, and that's a good thing.
And you're helping people. You're helping. It's a necessity. You know, it's a necessity. It's one of those things that you and I, you walked me through the process yesterday. Kind of like Champ said, whether or not you have an iPhone or you have an Android, you can go into your Google Play Store or you can go into your Apple Store and you can download it. It's totally free. I think yesterday, one of the topics that I chose to give love, dealing with racism, and I chose to receive love, also dealing with racism. I think today in our country, the state of the world today, right? Something that we will elaborate on a little more. I would love to get your personal opinion of the state of the world today with the pandemic. But I really think I was so thankful that I was honored that you asked me to be a part of it, because we had a debate, a presidential debate last night that was a clear sign of where our leadership is in the United States. We also have a clear sign of candidates who are looking to become leaders. And so during this state that we're in now, the state of the world with the pandemic, coronavirus, people are losing employment, people are losing family members, people are actually passing away from this virus. I think your app is more needed now than ever. If that makes any sense what I'm saying. It's something that's a necessity, because I don't care who you are. You can be Milton Bell, you can be Champ Godbolt, you can be Joe Biden. Everyone is dealing with something. Every human being, you show me one human being that doesn't have something that they're going through. And as you and I know, money doesn't make you happy, because you can be a billionaire, but you still have people in your family dying, whether it be old age, coronavirus. You have things that will eventually take your mind off of that money. Things that are more important, you come to find out, are way more important than money. And this is a platform that I'm honored to be a part of, because it gives people hope. Here, one of my favorite sayings in Richmond, especially dealing with our youth, that it takes a village to raise a kid. I'm fortunate to have a village here in my hometown of Richmond, Virginia, that can help me with my youth. But I think as adults, so often we are looked upon that once you become an adult, you don't have problems anymore. Where in essence, it's just the opposite. Once you become an adult, you have more problems than when you were a kid. And when you were a kid, or we were a kid, we lived in our parents' homes, food was free, schooling was free, everything. And so not until you become a grown-up that you have kids, you have bills, you have health issues, you have things that you have to do, you're responsible for. And so I really wholeheartedly believe that this app that you guys have produced will be a much needed outlet and much needed resource for some parents who maybe don't know what to do. Parents, like everyone, they're human and not going to have all of the answers. And so it's a blessing and a luxury that someone can kind of push a button and have access to someone who can help them with their problem. Talk to me a little bit about your opinion. Of course, you and I talked about this the past couple of days, but I would love for our listeners to know, what is Wilford Godbolt Jr.'s opinion of the state of the world today?
Yeah, man. This is a serious time that we're living in. And, we've all, a lot of us have grown up, whether it's been from our parents, our grandparents, or the next door neighbor, whatever, hearing, people talking to you about, about scripture and about, things that are, in the Bible and in God's word. And it's really, really something. Okay. And people talked about, the kingdom of God and the kingdom of righteousness and all of that. And, a lot of people, take it as just a story. It's in the Bible, and the Bible is, is like any other book, it's stories in there, and, and to not take it serious, but to actually see the stuff, that's in the scriptures, man, to see it being fulfilled, right. Okay, right in our eyes. The scripture, for example, talks about, the end of this world as we know it. Right. Not necessarily meaning that the whole world's going to be destroyed, nobody's going to be left on earth, but it meaning that the world as we know it is not going to be the same. Right. It's going to be different. And God, the devil had his time to rule. Mm-hmm. And now his time is up, and God is present, okay, to reign in his kingdom. Right. And so, we all heard that song, or when the saints come marching in, how I'd like to be in that number. Right. This is what you see now. Right. It talks about the fires, and they said, you watch the news, and they said that it's 10 states on the West Coast that are burning out of control. Mm. They said that only one of them is 2% contained. Right. And I heard this morning that within the last 2 days, okay, the fires have grown 3 times in size.
Right.
They're 3 times larger now than they were 2 days ago.
Mm.
They have consumed three times as many acres.
Right.
Okay, just in 2 days.
Right.
3 times
Right.
as large, and and then it also talks about in the scriptures the scourge and the pestilence.
Right.
And this is what you see on a global basis.
Right.
Okay, with the pandemic, with this coronavirus, where all the brilliant minds that we have, and nobody knows what this is.
Right.
They can't figure it out. Okay, it's constantly changing, and it morphs into something else. And then when they think they got to figure it out, it changes again, and it morphs into something else.
Right.
Okay, and so just to bring it, just to put it all in perspective, Milton, and to our, to the listening audience, and family, we're living in the fulfillment of prophecy right now.
Right.
We're living in the fulfillment of prophecy, and I'm not trying to preach to nobody. I don't think I'm more holier than thou and all like that, man. But the things that I know, the things that I've been told since a boy, and shown and heard and talked about, not ever thinking that, I would see it.
Right.
But it's something to really, really see it, man. To really see it. It's unbelievable.
Scary.
It's unbelievable. It really is, man.
It's biblical. It really is. To piggyback off what you're saying, the first thing to come to my mind is biblical, right? Because I'm kind of like you and I were talking past couple of days. We were told that this would be coming. We were told, and it's historical as well because it's happened before. Pandemics of this magnitude, of this proportion, has happened before. So this is not new. History has a way of repeating itself, and clearly we are ill prepared. We're not prepared for this mentally or from a medicine standpoint, vaccine standpoint. We're not prepared for this, and we are the United States of America, quote unquote, the number one. So many people in countries that you and I have been to, you can't tell them that the streets of America are not paved in gold.
Right.
They won't believe it. They don't believe it. But we are, I hate to say it, due to our leadership, we have not been the beacon of hope. Most people normally look to us to see what they should do as a country. We have shown that maybe we shouldn't be looked upon for all of the answers, or we've also been shown that the leadership that we currently have is not competent enough to lead us to freedom, to make a or lead us to freedom. I call it freedom, because right now it's almost like we are not free to do what we want to do. You can't go to restaurants. You can't leave the house without a mask. You can't go to the gym. You can't. Some people that I know can't even go and see their own parents because their parents are older. They may have underlying conditions. They may have health issues that if you as a son show up to their house and visit them like you normally do, it could be deadly. It could be catastrophic for that person's immune system. So to make a long story short, I have friends of mine that were not able to go and see their parents for their birthday, or weren't able to go and see their parents for their wedding anniversary, 50-year wedding anniversary, they had to drive by the house while their parents sat outside and watched the cars go by. Those are normal times. And so I think that out of sheer love, if you love your parents, you have to stay away from them because you don't know whether or not you have the coronavirus or the kid has the coronavirus. I've been reading several stories where one kid comes home from college, brings it with him, and contaminates everyone in the house. So it's one of those things that we can't even take our parents out to eat. We can't go see them to check on them. We have to FaceTime and call and things of that nature. It's saddening because we as human beings, I think you will agree, we crave the interaction. Some people do. We crave the interactions with our friends and family, our co-workers. And now some people have had to stay home and continue doing their work because it's safer. And so to piggyback off what you're saying, it's even more evident that what you're doing with your company, the company that you guys are starting, is more needed now than ever because of the state that we're in. And it seems like we're not in 2020. It feels like we are in 1970. I was born in this feels like the 70s, right? Yep. If you take all of the technology away, you take the iPhones away, you take the computers away, you take the video games away, this feels like it did when I was a kid. You stay in the house. You don't go to other people's house. You have to be careful. They didn't let a lot of people come to our house. We didn't go to a lot of people's house. So it doesn't feel like 2020. I have to be honest. It feels like 1972. But it's one of those things, man, that I am so very proud of you. Of course, you know this because I tell you, but I have to say this on air, that I'm proud to have you as my mentor, as my OG, to continue to guide me and to continue to push me to be better and to say, hey, man, this is going to pass. This too shall pass, like you told me the other day. And sometimes when you're in the storm, you can't envision that it will ever be over. But just talking to people like yourself, Melvin Johnson, another one of my mentors, Maurice Miller, Dennis Parker, the list goes on and on. Just people that I can actually talk to and say, hey, what is your opinion on what's happening? And it never fails. Whenever you and I have a chance to talk, I always feel better once we end the conversation. And I'm so glad that I called. I'm so glad that you called me. It's just, I'm used to it now. I know the energy that I'm going to get from Champ Godbolt when I dial his number. That's why I dial. And so I'm sure that you have many people that seek you out for knowledge and for wisdom and for guidance. And so in closing, would love for you to close out our show with some words of wisdom for our youth, words of wisdom for our society, words of wisdom for our future, if you will.
Sure, Millen. I'm also honored and humbled, Milton, to be able to be there for you, and in that capacity that you said, it's like I said, I love you as a brother, and I think a lot of you,
Thank you, brother. So love you also, man. Love you also.
Yes, sir, man. And so anytime that I can help you, I can be of service to you and everybody that's listening.
Right.
Okay? Everybody that's listening, all right? Matter of fact, I'm just going to put it out there now. If you want to sign up, if you're having problems downloading the app or you need me to walk you through it, you can call me. Okay, you can call me. I'll give you my number.
Right.
Okay, 678-739-8072. Okay, you call me, okay, and I can learn from you. You can learn from me. We can learn from each other, and we can try to help as many people as possible. Okay, and so in closing this, what I would say first to the youth is that we're not promised tomorrow. Okay, you're not promised tomorrow, and so you have a purpose, and you have a God-given talent. Okay, there's no need for you to be envious or jealous of anybody else's talent. God has put a talent in you. It's up to you, okay, to dig inside, all right, and pull it out. Okay, so you don't have to be jealous or envious of somebody else who, for example, since we were talking about basketball, who can play basketball better than you. Okay, you don't have to be envious and jealous of somebody else who can draw. Okay, who can like just sketch stuff, man, to make it look just like that picture on the wall. Okay, because guess what? You singing in the shower, or you humming a tune, or you singing, when you're by yourself, guess what? That's your talent. Right. Okay, so all you have to do is dig inside and work on it and perfect it. Everybody, for example, everybody can't sing. Okay, so God, He might have blessed you with a beautiful voice. Okay, but if you don't do anything with it, then you wasted your talent. Okay, so, and to everybody else, including the youth, this time we're living in now, and I told it to my goddaughter, as soon as, they shut down school and everything, and the COVID was getting serious, I told her that right now, this is bigger than the COVID. This is about all of us being better.
Right.
It's about all of us being better. That's what this is about.
Right.
Okay, each and every one of us. It's about being better.
Right.
Okay, being the best person that you can be. Okay, they have that saying. Okay, what is it? WWJD.
Right.
Okay, what would Jesus do?
Right.
Okay, so yeah. So okay, so then if that's the case, you believe in God and you believe in Jesus, then what would He do? What would He say concerning how we?
Right.
Okay, Milton Bell, Champ Godbolt, everybody that's listening, how we are behaving right now. Okay, what would God say about it? What would Jesus say about it? Okay, and so that has to be the standard that we hold ourselves to. Okay, because in the scriptures in Revelation it says that the devil, Satan, has deceived the entire world. Okay, so he's deceived the entire world. Okay, so we all been duped. Okay, we all been bamboozled. We all been hoodwinked. All right? And so now it's time for us to be better, us to be the men and women and the girls and boys that God and Jesus wants us to be. The people that He put us on earth to be.
Right.
And so that's, and I think if we all do that, I think you will see things getting better overnight. In this country and in this world.
Oh, yeah.
If we would all just do that.
It's funny, man. It's funny. It sounds so simple, right? It sounds simple for me because I know you and I've done what you have advised me to do from day one. So for me, it's easy. But you and I know that sometimes people have to figure it out on their own. They have to, because we're going to have some people that say, hey, I'm Coach Godbolt. You're going to have some young people that say, hey, I'm Coach Godbolt, doesn't know what he's talking about. And they're going to have to put their hand on that hot stove and get burnt.
Right.
It's part of life. Shouldn't be part of life. You should be smart enough to listen to what Coach Godbolt says and do it. But you have those that don't believe it until they get burnt by it. Sometimes the burn is minor. You can put some cold water on it, or sometimes that burn can be third degree.
Right.
And you can't put water on it. So it's one of those things that I'm hoping as we go forward, as you guys continue to grow with the Village Talk and the app continues to grow, the movement continues to grow, I would hope that you would come back and bless us many more times with your wisdom and your knowledge and continue to guide us as you have guided me in the past. And so I'm excited to be a part of anything that you're doing. I don't care what it is. I want to be a part of it, but something that I know that's so dear to your heart and so dear to my heart and so important to society and getting over the obstacles that we currently face. It's going to be a team effort, and I'm just glad to have you leading our team, my brother. I'm honored. Once again, I'm honored that you will lead our team and continue to be you. Continue to be you and continue to guide us, because it's one of those things where some people are lost. Some people that you and I talk to on a daily basis, they're lost. They don't know where to turn, don't know who to call, and this app that you are providing, your phone number that you are providing, will be a source of help. In closing, I would love for you to repeat, if you would, your phone number for those listeners that want to reach out to you, that have questions, that are interested, whether they need help with their own situations or they are willing to give love. I think it's a two-way street. You have to be willing to ask for help, but you also have to be in a position to be ready to give help. And in closing, I will get you to repeat your phone number. If you have an email that you want to give out, I know you are not big on social media. If there's anyone that needs to get in contact with Coach Champ Godbolt, they can reach out to us here. Area code 702-908-1501 is our cell number. Our email is milton.bell@miltonbellbasketball.com. Any messages that you guys have, if you can't get in contact with Coach Champ and have questions, feel free to reach out to us here at the radio station. We will pass on the message. And Coach, if you will, share that information, your contact information once again for us, please.
Yes. It's 678-739-8072. And the website is Village Talk, villagetalk.com. And the app, you can do the search in the App Store. It's Village Talk, all one word. Okay? And go there, okay? You can download the app and then sign up. It's anonymous. It's asking for a username, but that doesn't mean that, you put in your real name. No, the username means it's a name that you want to use, whatever you want to call yourself. Okay? This is free. All right? It's anonymous. It's loving. And it's here to help, okay, us and everybody else.
Right.
Okay? And it's a way to give back and help during these trying times that we're living in. And Milton, I am so honored and so extremely humbled, okay,
Thank you.
for
Thank you.
Okay, for your words and just, being able to, be on this program with you, and any time that you will have me back, okay, I would love to come back. So anytime you would have me, okay, anytime.
Oh man, you and I think this week we have been on the phone. 3 days? This may be our second day this week of talking. So you got to be careful, brother, because you and I start our own daily show. That's how much. That's how much I look forward to talking to you, man. And so, just blessed that our listeners, our youth, our pro players have had the chance, because you've talked to many of our pro players. Now they have a chance to put a story to a voice, right? And so. Once again, we're blessed here at TMBT Media. This is our podcast, Race Cards, with Coach Wilford Champ Godbolt. We'll be signing off for now. We'll be having him back for part 2 to talk more about Village Talk, and to have him back to share more of our wisdom with our youth and our players going forward. So tonight we would like to thank everyone for tuning in. I saw some incredible friends tonight tuning in on Facebook. Maurice Miller, Rick Harris, the legend AJ English, the legend Jason Williford from UVA. We really appreciate everyone tuning in to hear our message and to support us. Until next time, thanks everyone for coming. God bless you. Good night.
Good night, man. God bless you, too.
Advice may be due. Contact us. Qualifying port-ins and finance agreements required.